We're going to have a look for pieces of wood that we can use in making a bow drill. A piece of wood like this would be quite good for the bow itself, because you can attach the string here and here, and it's got a good length on it. We need to find a piece of wood for the baseboard and also the spindle, so we'll have a look around and see what we can find. A piece of wood like this is quite thick, and we could use this as the half board that we're going to drill into. It's quite lightweight and it does feel dry, which is good, although you need to take some of this bark off. Hopefully that should make a good ember. Okay, so we found a good piece of wood to use as a bow and a candidate for the half board. Because I've never done this before and I don't know exactly what kind of wood it is that we're looking for, we're going to find as many bits as we can that are broadly as wide as this and have the right sort of texture where you can put your thumb into it and leave a dent. So we're going to keep looking around and try and find some wood that we can use as the spindle to actually drill into this as well. So we're just looking around now on the floor for a piece of wood that we can use as a spindle. The ideal piece of wood needs to be about that long and about as thick as my thumb and perfectly straight, or as near straight as you can get it. A piece of wood like this might do. It's very, very lightweight, so that suggests that it's possibly rotten on the inside. I don't know if that'll work or not. If I press my thumbnail into it, very easy to leave a mark. That might mean that it will create a nice fine powder that we can use, or it might just shatter to pieces. But because I've never done this before, I'm going to keep this on one side and we'll try it out. We've got all our bits of wood assembled now, and we're going to start off by making the bow. This piece of wood is pretty much perfect for use, I reckon. What we need to do is decide where we're going to attach the string and how we're going to do that. There's already some nice notches in this wood that we can tie the string around, and the piece of string I'm going to use is just a boot lace. It's the same as the ones that I'm wearing now, but I thought rather than take one out of my shoe, I might as well just take a spare one. There's lots of notches on here that it will attach to, which makes it quite easy. But on this side there isn't really anything, so we're going to cut a groove around and put the lace in. To do that I'll just use my penknife. Right, well I've just snapped this bit off to give us the bow shape that we're going to use. I reckon if we cut a notch about here, that'd be long enough with the boot lace. Oh, this wood is really soft, which makes this very easy. So we've cut the notch here, so now we're going to tie the string on and then we'll work out what length of string we need to make the bow. And I'm not using any fancy knots here. There probably is a good knot to use, but I'm just going to use a granny knot basically. Which should hold this in place. There we go. So up here is the fiddly bit. We want to make sure that it's taut enough that it doesn't slip, but at the same time we've got to be able to put our spindle in there. So I reckon we'll need about that much slack. So that's about the length of string that we're looking at. Trap my thumb. So to tie this off at this end, I'm not going to use a granny knot, I'm going to use a slip knot, which is dead simple to do. You just make one loop, and then you fold that over on the rest of the string and pull it through, and that then gives you a loop that you can adjust in size and will fasten onto something. So now we're going to make our half board, and this is possibly the most important bit of the whole thing. We've already taken some bark off the top of this to expose the wood underneath, so what we need to do now is just dig a small hole that the spindle can go into. And again with the trusty knife. That might be enough to get us started. So we've got the major components of the bow drill sorted now. We have the bow, the drill, and the half board that this should spin in. The one thing that we are missing is something to hold on the top to keep the spindle in place. You could use your hand, but it would drill straight through it and make a right mess. One thing I have found though is a bit of an old tin can. Just going to move these out of the way to give me some space to work in. The reason I've adopted this exaggerated pose here is this is the best way to stabilise the half board and give you room to work with the bow. So we're going to take the spindle, wrap it in the bootlace and place the blunt end into the hole. And I'm going to stabilise it on the top with this bearing block just made from a Coke can lid. Now at this stage we're not looking to actually make fire. What we're doing is drilling into the wood to make the hole the right shape and to see if we can get any fine black dust to form, and that will give us an indication as to whether this is going to work or not. And hopefully we'll take this for a spin and see if we can create some dust and smoke. This is looking promising actually. There's a fine dust. I've only been doing this for a few seconds. It's already building up in the notch, and you can see here that the end of the spindle has actually started to scorch a bit. That is a good sign. I did not expect that to happen. So what we're going to do now, we've drilled out the hole properly and it's the right size, and I can feel that this is hot and it smells like it's smouldering slightly. We're going to cut a notch in this that we use to collect the hot dust, and it will be that hot dust that we can then put into a tinder bundle and we'll blow it into flame. Well, this is just a folding saw that I'm going to use to make my life easier cutting the notch. I do it perfectly well with a penknife, but this is quicker. Here you can see we've just cut a notch into the basin, and it will be there that the dust actually collects, and we can put that then into a tinder bundle and blow it into flames. can see I've got a bloody knuckle, I'm knackered, but there is some smoke there, and if I was to carry this on for another 30 seconds or so, I could get a coal going in that pile of embers. So we'll try that now.